Picture of me 3 years ago, back when my back was completely flat, and here's a picture of my back now. I went from flexing bones and looking like a pencil to
Farhat Hussein back is probably his weakest and his least developed body part. And I don't think it's a genetic thing, but is a training thing.
What the fuck?
After analyzing his video, he doesn't know how to train his back. He's lacking notions of biomechanics and anatomy. And since you guys really enjoyed the video of me criticizing his arm workout, today we're gonna do the same, but we're gonna cover his back.
building the wide V-tapered back that I've always wanted in less than 3 years.
Don't get me wrong, his back development is quite good, but you can clearly see it's definitely way more flat than his other body parts.
And in today's video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I did it. So that you can
I like how he's disguising truth into jokes and hyperbole. Pretty sure he didn't took trend, but at this point we all know my guy is a fake Natty.
start looking like you have wings and also get compliments like these too.
The most ridiculous before and after transformation that I've ever seen.
Now before we dive into the exact exercises that blew up my back, pause, let's talk about my training split and how often I train my back. So I'm in the gym 6 days a week and my split looks something like this. So on day 1, I like to train chest, biceps, and shoulders. Day 2, I like to do legs and abs. And then on day 3, I train my back with my triceps, rest on day 4, and then I repeat it all over again. But if you're new here, you might be wondering, bro, why do you train your back with your triceps?
What is wrong with you?
Excuse me, what the actual fuck?
Now, if you've been following me for a while, you already know why I train this way. And before I explain that, make sure you hit that subscribe button because if you don't, you might stay stuck looking like young me.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no.
But yeah, there's 2 main reasons of why I train my back with my triceps. And reason number 1 is because I want to train my back with maximum intensity. If I was to train my back with my biceps would just tire out too quickly, which would limit how heavy I can pull on my back workouts. And training my back alone means I can lift heavier and activate my back muscles properly without my biceps giving out.
I tested this theory many times, and to be honest with you, at the end of the day, it doesn't have that much impact. Yes, maybe if you're going for a PR with bicep curls, it might be a limiting factor, but otherwise, not really.
And reason number 1, which is a lot more simple, is because the pump is absolutely insane.
It just means that you can get away with less volume. So instead of 3 exercises, probably you could do 2 exercises.
Because as soon as I'm done with my workout, I have this crazy back pump and tricep pump, which we can see from the back, and it just looks absolutely insane. Now, this video is going to be split into 3 parts. Part number 1 is going to be the exact exercises that help me grow my back. Part number 2 is going to be key tips on how to maximize your back growth. And last but not least, part number 3 is going to be about nutrition and recovery. Now let's jump into the exact exercises that help me grow my back fast. If you want to build a balanced and aesthetic back, it's important to hit all the key muscle groups. And here's what you need to focus on. First off, we have the lats. This is what gives your back that width and V-taper look. And then we have the traps. This will add some size to your upper back and just make your physique look more complete. And then we have the rhomboids and the rear delts.
Now you see this blue area, and this is what I mean, that he doesn't know basic anatomy, because that is definitely not rhomboids. That's an area where we will find teres major, teres minor, infraspinatus, whereas the rhomboids are closer to the spine, literally under the traps. It's a deep muscle. You cannot see it because it's not superficial.
These will give your back more depth and detail and also give it that 3D look. And we'll start with the most important part to build that aesthetic V-taper, the lats. And for my lat focused exercise, I like to do close grip lat pull downs. And the biggest tip I could give you for these to really feel your lats working instead of your biceps is to imagine that you're trying to scoop the air in front of you with your elbows. But make sure you still drive them straight down. This small tweak is going to remove all of the tension from your biceps and just shift it over to your lats. And here's how I do this exercise. So first thing I do would be just attaching a close grip attachment to the cable. Then before starting, I make sure to keep my chest up and lean slightly back to really engage my lats. And then I make sure I keep my chest up and I pull the bar down to my upper chest while keeping my elbows tucked. And also I make sure that I'm going down in a straight line with my elbows. And then I like to squeeze my lats at the bottom for 1 to 2 seconds before slowly controlling the weight back up. And for this exercise, I like to aim for...
Okay, so this is very debatable. But when I'm fresh and I'm just starting the workout, I wouldn't do such an exercise. I'll definitely do something a little bit more challenging, more advanced, slightly more strenuous. Obviously, it depends if you want to work more on width or on thickness, but I definitely think the exercise selection in this video, it's not really optimal. You can let me know your opinion in the comment section.
8 to 12 reps while also going to failure, and I make sure I'm focusing on the squeeze and the stretch part of the movement. Now for the alternatives, if you prefer free weights, you can definitely do weighted pull-ups or regular pull-ups, but what I like about lat pull-downs is that they allow for better control, and also it's a lot easier to progressively overload on them. And now we move on to the second exercise of this video, which is the T-bar rows. Now for upper back thickness, the T-bar rows are probably the best compound movement you can do. Now the reason why I like these much more than regular bent over rows is because of the added stability, which helps you go heavier with better form. There's also less lower back strain, more upper back activation, and also bigger gains in general because you're not wasting energy balancing, you're just pulling hard and growing muscle.
Alright, so now we get to the old question, machine versus free weights, which is better? Both and neither. A lot of the times I prefer free weights because the movement feels more natural. You're not only getting a good contraction, but you also double down on keeping your body functional. You also want overall strength and functionality. And the body doesn't really work in fragments, it works as a unit. So incorporating a bit more free weights, especially in the beginning of the workout, I think it's so important. Otherwise, you teach your body how to move in the wrong way.
I've also been using these a lot in some of my clients' programs too, and their back transformations have been crazy, as you can see over here. But yeah.
Wow, that was so fast, I didn't even get to see their progress. Are you giving your clients exactly the same routine that you are using? Are you not taking into consideration their personal needs and where they are with their training, their posture, their lifestyle? You just give the same thing to these people over and over again, and you are charging thousands of dollars. This is not cheap. Fitness shouldn't be this expensive, but if you're getting cookie cutter plans, it's definitely not worth it. It doesn't have the knowledge, doesn't have the accreditation, so I'm really sorry for the people who fall in his trap. But he is not in charge of these plans. There is a company behind him who's running all this stuff. Just puts his name on it and that's it.
Yeah, back to the T-bar rows, here's how I do them. So when doing the T-bar row, you really want to think about rounding your back out and allowing your shoulder blades to pull apart. Then once you're in this position, you pull the handles toward your lower chest while keeping your elbows tucked in, and make sure you squeeze your shoulder blades together at the top. And then I hold at the top for 1 second and then control the weight slowly back down. And for this exercise, I like to go for 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps to failure. And of course, I focus on rounding my back at the bottom and squeezing my shoulder blades together at the top. Now we move on to my favorite trap focused exercise, and that is the Smith machine shrugs. Now for building massive traps, my favorite exercise has always been Smith machine shrugs for 2 reasons. First one is because it's a lot easier to control, and also because you can go heavier on them. And here's how I like to do them. So first thing I do is that I stand with my feet around shoulder width apart, and I grip the bar at shoulder level. From here, I shrug my shoulders straight up, focusing on contracting the traps at the top. I hold for 1 to 2 seconds at the top before slowly lowering the weight back down. And for this exercise, I like to do 12 to 15 reps while going to failure every single time for 3 sets. Now, if you don't like this exercise and you want an alternative, you can do dumbbell shrugs instead, but the Smith machine just makes the movement more strong.
I do like this exercise as well, so I see no problems with this. The execution is very good, and I believe that the traps generally is a very strong muscle. As long as you have the full range of motion, just go as heavy as possible, because that's the only way they will actually react. So look at these babies. It requires some pretty heavy freaking weight to build them.
And now we move on to the fourth exercise, which is more rhomboid focused, and that is the closed grip seated cable rows. Now if you want thicker rhomboids and mid-back, closed grip seated cable rows are great.
Closed grip seated cable rows is definitely not a good exercise, which isolates the mid-back. If you would have told me, okay, you're using a wider grip and you're pulling it a little bit higher towards the lower part of your ribs, then maybe I can agree with you. But like this, the low row with a closed grip, it's a good exercise for the lower part of your trapezius, but also the lower lats, especially if you bring it to the belly button. That's one way on how I build my lower lats. I had issues in the beginning, they were very shallow, and this is the only exercise that built my lower lats.
Now for these, I've seen a lot of people complaining because they feel them in their biceps instead of their back. And the key to really feeling these in your back is to pull with your elbows, not your hands. So basically what you want to do is imagine your hands are just like hooks.
Wait. He doesn't even know how to attach the wrist straps. Did it the other way around. I'm done, guys. I'm done.
You know, you're holding the handles with them, and the focus is really just on driving your elbows back. And this is what's going to help you keep tension on your back instead of feeling them in your biceps. And here's basically how I do them. So I sit with my chest up and my shoulders retracted. I pull the handle.
Rounding your back at the bottom, that's actually not a good idea, because what you're literally doing, you're pushing the intervertebral discs in the wrong direction, and with time, you can injure yourself very badly. You can get like a bulge disc, compressed nerves, all sorts of problems. Look at this back positioning. Guys, if you are a beginner, even intermediate, don't try to do it like this, because this puts your back in a very dangerous position. I just mentioned before, you can get lower back pain, like pull a muscle, or in time if you do it like this, especially if you're going heavier and heavier, and especially if you do it to failure, as he's mentioning, you're definitely going to screw up your spine. Yes, stretch your upper back, but try to keep your lower back neutral. The vertebrae need to be in a neutral position, because if you bend them and then you have heavy weight pulling it, slip disc, bulge disc, compressed nerve, you name it. Unfortunately, I have experience. This is exactly how someone showed me in the beginning to do it. And guess what? In my first year of training, I pulled my back. I had the most insane pain and I was screwed for days on end. I couldn't even lift a chair. It was so bad. Alright guys, so that was the video on him turning his back. I've noticed a lot of mistakes, biomechanic mistakes, anatomy mistakes, mistakes in the technique. I'm pretty sure everything he is just reading off a script. He doesn't understand, he doesn't acknowledge the mistakes. He just reads what he's given to read, films himself doing that. The editor will put all this stuff together. Yeah, it looks flashy, looks colorful, heavily edited. People will fall for this kind of stuff. But if you look deep down, there's a lot of mistakes, and some of them are dangerous mistakes. So please do what you wish with this type of information. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, share and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.